What's going on, literacy class? I haven't seen anybody turn in the basketball court assignment. Maybe it's because you didn't have time, or maybe you were still struggling with it a little bit. So I'm going to go over an example extremely similar to what you guys are looking at. Basically, the same layout. The colors don't match up exactly, but what I'm going to talk about is how you find the areas. So in that assignment where it says describe the process, please be paying attention of how I tell you that I find these specific areas, because that's what you are going to have to write down when it says describe how you found the area of the red, the area of the blue, the area of the green, or the yellow, I think it was. So keep that in mind. Now, I did change the numbers. I kind of shrunk this down a little bit because I don't want to give you the answers. But I do want to provide you with some guidance of what you're supposed to do, especially since I'm not there. Okay, so I'm going to work from inside out here. All right, so I'm going to start with the blue group here, because these are just shapes that we know how to find, and we just basically just have to add them together. All right, so it should be relatively simply to go with the blue. So the blue, we have three shapes. We have two rectangles, which are the same, and we have one circle. All right, and in the painted court, actually, the lane is a little bit bigger. It's like this, honestly. But what I put in the directions was, let's assume that the lane is the same diameter as the circle in the center, because I didn't provide you those measurements. So what we're going to do is we're going to assume, okay, if this is 10 feet across, the circle is also going to be 10 feet across. So I know it might be a little confusing from the two diagrams. So that's what we're going to do. So that being said, I'm going to look at the rectangles first. So remember the rectangles, how we find the area of the rectangle is we do length times width. So the length and the width here are 10 times 12, which is 120 feet squared. And we're going to assume that all of these are in feet. All right. Now, we have two of these rectangles, so we simply have to double them. So since we have two rectangles, multiply this by 2, we get 240 square feet. All right. So then after that, we turn our attention to the circle, and the circle is pi r squared. And we talked about going across this circle. So the diameter of this is 10. But remember, that's the diameter. We need the radius. So the radius is half of that diameter, which is 5. So we're going to look at 3.14 times 5 squared. In order of operations, say to do that exponent first. So 25 squared, or 5 squared is 25, and then multiply by 3.14, and we're going to get 78.5 square feet. So when it says describe the procedure, what you should identify is that you have two separate rectangles where you're going to take length times width to find the area, and you double that, or you can just take 120 plus 20. Then you have the circle where you do pi r squared to find that area, and then in the end, add them all together. So the rectangles plus the circles is 240 plus 78.5. So we have 318.5 square feet. All right, so there's the procedure of finding the area of the blue part. And then I'm going to magically erase this like that. And we're going to talk about how to find the area of the green portion. So the green portion, what we have to recognize is the green portion is just a rectangle, and then we remove pieces from that rectangle. So the procedure here is basically find the area of the whole rectangle and remove, which mathematically means we are going to subtract the blue area. So that's what we would be looking at for the procedure. All right, is we're taking the whole entire thing and we're removing parts that aren't going to be green. So in doing that, that area of the rectangle, we look at the dimensions of length and the width. We're looking at 40 times 70, which is 2,800 square feet. And we already did the work for the blue. We don't have to go in and again find the area of the rectangles and the area of the circle. We already figured it out. All right, so removing the blue part, we just have to subtract the 318.5 square feet that we just figured that out. So that leaves the green area. Let me subtract these real quick. As being 2,481.5 square feet. All right. So that's how we could find the green. All right. And this is another reason why it was nice to start with the blue, and then we can just subtract that number that we already had from the green. And next is going to be the red area. So let's go ahead and get rid of all that. So for the red area, the easiest way to do this is to basically assume, okay, I've got one big giant red rectangle, and then I removed this inside part from it. So kind of like that. And then we're left with kind of like that red frame along the outside. Now the nice thing about here is we don't necessarily have to look at the blue separate from the green. We're just looking at this whole entire rectangle that we have to get rid of, which is just this original green court without the blue. So the rectangle that's 70 by 40. And we already figured that out. So the part that we have to remove is the 2,800 square feet. All right. But we still have to figure out, okay, what was that whole entire rectangle to begin with? And in the assignment, I mentioned that we're going to have a 3-foot perimeter around this in all sides. And I gave caution, that doesn't mean just add 3 feet. All right. So if I'm looking at this as being 40 going across here, to get to the other side of this is another 3, but then I got to go to the other side of this, which is 3. So all together, this whole side is going to be 46 feet. And then same thing going in this direction. All right, so the inside rectangle that we're getting rid of is 70, but we have an extra 3 and an extra 3, so we have an extra 6 total. So this is going to be 76. So to find the area of the big red rectangle, we would have to take 76 times 46, which is 3,496 square feet. And then as we mentioned, we're just going to remove that middle rectangle. So we're going to remove the 2,800 square feet, and we end up with 696 square feet. So not a lot, but honestly, we removed the giant chunk. We removed 2,800 square feet, so there shouldn't be a lot left for that red rectangle. All right, so once again, the main part that I'm looking at is describing that procedure. All right, so when I said this is how we are going to find the area, we're going to start with this, and we're going to remove these pieces. That's what I want you to describe in the procedure. All right, and also, how did we get 76 and 46, even though we started with 40 and 70? All right, so everything that I talked about, I want you to be able to write in your procedures. And then obviously, you need to have the accurate measurements based on the assignment that I gave you. And once again, if you have any troubles, go ahead, rewind this, rewatch it so you can figure out what I did and match up your work with my work using your specific numbers. Good luck.